Since the mid-70s, motorsport has played an important part in the Vauxhall story, with names like Auricola, McRae and Pond thrilling the crowds on the rally stages. Jerry Marshall was a popular and spectacular sight on the racetracks, dominating the British scene in the infamous Baby Bertha. As we move through the 80s, who can forget John Cleland's championship victories in the Senator Thunder Saloon, Louise Aitken-Walker's World Rally Championship title success, and Cleland again taking the laurels in the British Touring Car Championship, coming right up to date with the Cavalier. Mark Bowie outlines the current strategy.
Vauxhall obviously have a long and successful history in all branches of motorsport, and we use that to demonstrate both the reliability and the competitiveness of the product. Here at this workshop we build the Astras that we use in rallying, and we have another workshop in Yorkshire that builds the Cavaliers for the British Touring Car Championship. And we use these cars to demonstrate the superiority of the product over the competition.
Touring car racing is very important to Vauxhall. We consider it to be the pinnacle of UK motorsport. It gives us the opportunity of our cars being out there in an exciting environment, beating the competition, BMWs and Peugeots and so on, in front of 40 million television spectators, and indeed we have 500,000 live spectators there as well. So it's an extremely important activity for us.
The British Touring Car Championship started at Silverstone and quickly developed into a straight fight between Vauxhall and Toyota as the other teams struggled to get on the electrifying pace. John Cleland capitalised on his pole position and led Andy Rouse and defending champion Will Hoy for much of the race, while Jeff Allen pressed them all hard, as this shot from the rear of Hoy's Toyota demonstrates. Hoy was new to the Toyota, and Allen was able to pressure him into a mistake and slip through into third place as the errant Toyota struggled to stay on the track. Armed with a pair of ex-Vauxhall Sport Cavaliers, the Écurie Écosse team were new to the championship and performing well. They were to be the leading privateers for the rest of the year, embarrassing many of the works teams. At the front of the race, Cleland was in a class of his own, pulling away from Rouse's Toyota to take the first win of the year and put Vauxhall on course for the title. First past the checkered flag, a victory flash of lights, and it's on to Thruxton for round two. Again, Rouse's Toyota provided the strongest threat, leading for the early part of the race, but John Cleland has rarely been beaten at the Hampshire circuit, and today was going to be no exception. The canny Scot edged through and was into a lead he was to keep to the finish, as the fast corners played to the strengths of the Cavalier, giving Cleland his second consecutive victory. By the time the championship reached Brands Hatch for round 5, the Cavalier duo had notched up 2 wins, 1 second and 3 third places. Again, Cleland led the Toyotas, and in their frantic pursuit of the disappearing Cavalier, the Toyota twins took each other off the track. The drivers unhurt, but the cars in a sorry state. John Cleland and Jeff Allen were left to take a very popular and unchallenged 1-2 in front of the packed grandstands. July saw the annual visit to the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, the 150,000-strong crowd set to witness another dominant Vauxhall performance. The Cavaliers were flying, as Tim Harvey notes from his BMW.
I just can't live with these guys on the straight. They're just absolutely disappearing.
A fine tribute to these seemingly ordinary family saloons. But the pattern was set to change. Jeff Allen, for so long the bridesmaid in the Vauxhall camp, was on form to maintain his habit of winning the Grand Prix support race and move past teammate Cleland and into the lead as Hoy's Toyota holds third. David Leslie showing signs of contact on his way to another top 10 finish. Meanwhile, Will Hoy was disputing second place with John Cleland. Bang, and he's through. There's no room for courtesy here. The rewards are too high. It's a tough championship, and Cleland revels in the thrill of the chase.
Yahoo!
Victory for Jeff Allen and an increased championship lead for John Cleland, but BMW were on the attack. As the championship reached its conclusion back at Silverstone, Cleland needed to finish ahead of Tim Harvey's BMW and Will Hoy's Toyota to take the title he so richly deserved. And Vauxhall had to beat BMW in the race for the Manufacturers' Cup. It all started well, with Cleland leading Harvey and Jeff Allen leading all of the BMWs. But the battered BMW Coupe, driven by the hard-charging Steve Soper, was set to play a controversial and decisive role in the outcome of the Drivers' Championship. Allowing teammate Harvey through on the penultimate lap, he ran wide at the next corner. John saw his opportunity, going for the gap on the inside in dramatic fashion. Soper's response was swift and harsh, both cars spinning off and out of the race. As Jeff Allen challenged for second, the news of Cleland's accident reached the Vauxhall team, the looks on their faces telling the story.
All the best plans.
But Jeff Allen was determined to ensure that the manufacturer's title belonged to Vauxhall and engaged in a titanic battle for the lead with Andy Rouse's Toyota as David Leslie's Cavalier gives chase. Time and again the Vauxhall tries to find a way through, but the cars are evenly matched and cross the line just inches apart. This was enough to give Vauxhall victory in the all-important Manufacturers' Championship, with BMW and Toyota tied in second place. In the Drivers' Championship, John Cleland had to settle for third place, with Jeff Allen close behind in fourth. Back now to Mike Nicholson.
Off-circuit activities, rallying and rallycross is very important to us, and we had a very good year in 1992, marred of course by the sad death of David Metcalf in a road accident. And rallycross, well, it's a very exciting championship, and we had a lot of success in that as well.
The rally season started in Chester on the Vauxhall Sport Rally, with the Subaru of Colin McRae leading away the top-class entry. Ahead of them were 90 miles of high-speed forest stages, and Mark Higgins was soon into his stride in the Works Nova GSI, taking a top 10 place. On the Lombard RAC Rally, Dave Metcalf gave the new Astra GSI its World Championship debut and took a commanding lead in Formula 2 before mechanical problems sidelined the car on the third day. Earlier in the year, and dramatic as ever, he thrilled the crowds in Ulster, hurling the little Nova GSI around in his unique style on his way to fourth place overall and his customary class win. Throughout his relatively short career, the quietly spoken yet hugely talented Cumbrian was a symbol of commitment and an inspiration for a generation of new young chargers. Driving a variety of Vauxhalls which, compared to their four-wheel drive turbocharged opposition, were vastly underpowered, Metcalf was undaunted. He never gave less than 110%, his talent transcending the performance imbalance as he left the rallying supercars trailing in his wake. Here on the Isle of Man was typical of the tarmac rally terrain on which he excelled. Let's sit back and enjoy a ride now with the master.
Fast right, 50. Flat left over bumps, 70. Fast left, 20. Easy right, 50. Slight right, 70. Flat right, 50. Flat right and slight left over bumps. And flat right, 70. Easy left and flat right, 20. Keep right for fast right over jump, 20. Medium right.
Sadly, Dave Metcalf died in a road accident just before Christmas. It was an enormous loss to Vauxhall and the sport of rallying. In the British Rallycross Championship, Tony Bardi took his Astra GTE to victory in Formula B, the amiable northeasterner continuing his domination of this class in the rapid Vauxhall, while the Nova of John Haffey gives chase. At the British Rallycross Grand Prix, John Welch made a surprise appearance in his four-wheel drive turbocharged Astra. The ex-champion had lost none of his fire and took the runners-up place against the hordes of RS200s and Metro 6R4s. Ex-Formula 1 driver Martin Donnelly tried his hand at Rallycross and took the wheel of the Vauxhall Exchange Unit's Nova at the Grand Prix. But the experience and skill of drivers like Mark Renison and Davy Crockett kept Martin out of the awards. The Novas once again produced some exciting racing, and Martin has vowed to return in the future. Former British champion Renison took victory, with reigning Nova champion Crockett close behind. Now we look at more conventional circuit racing.
We have what we call a step ladder to stardom. We can take 8-year-old cadet kart drivers right the way through to Formula 3. Formula Vauxhall Lotus in particular has been very successful for us, and several graduates have moved on into Formula 3000. One or two, like Mika Hakkinen, have moved into Formula 1 with Team Lotus.
Karting is where the young Nigel Mansells are created and developed, and the Vauxhall Karting Challenge has been designed to assist these young stars of tomorrow as they prepare for their move into single-seater racing. A 3-race series was introduced in 1992, with the winner, Ralph Furman Jr., becoming a finalist in the prestigious McLaren Autosport Young Driver Awards. Ralph has moved up the ladder now and will race in Formula Vauxhall Junior, our next featured championship. 1992 saw Formula Vauxhall Junior move into its second full year. Designed to introduce both newcomers and graduates from karting to the world of single-seater racing, these cars are powered by a mildly tuned version of the Nova GSI 1600cc engine. 19-year-old Martin O'Connell was the sensation of the season, taking 5 victories on his way to the title in only his first year in the championship. He now follows in the footsteps of the previous champion, Dario Franchitti, and moves up to Formula Vauxhall Lotus with his championship prize. With graduates such as Mika Hakkinen and Rubens Barrichello, both of whom are now in Grand Prix teams, Formula Vauxhall Lotus has become the series for young drivers determined to reach the top in motor racing. The story of 1992 revolves around 2 such men. Piers Honeysett, with several years' experience in the championship, was challenged for the title by the reigning McLaren Autosport Award winner, 20-year-old Oliver Gavin. But the Bedford youngster was eventually overwhelmed by the sheer speed of Honeysett, who finally clinched the title. A new venture in 1992 was the development of a Formula 3 engine based on the 2-litre 16-valve unit. In partnership with top British Formula 3 team Edenbridge Racing, the Vauxhall engine car was driven by Warren Hughes in this, its first year of development. Warren was chosen to drive the all-new Swindon Racing developed Vauxhall Formula 3 Challenger after a superb performance in the previous year's Formula Vauxhall Lotus Championship, and the combination looked promising. The Vauxhall is the first British engine in Formula 3 since a young man called Nigel Mansell drove a Triumph engine car way back in 1979. Ranged against the Honda-engined opposition, Hughes and the Edenbridge team started the year well with a string of top 10 finishes. A mid-year break allowed a change to the Spice-tuned Vauxhall engine, the German company having gained considerable success in European F3. With the new engine, the team hit form at Pembrey in August, Warren crossing the line first in a thrilling race-long battle with eventual champion Gilles de Ferran in the Paul Stewart racing car. The British Formula 3 Championship is rivalled only by the British Touring Car Championship in terms of television coverage and spectator attendance, and it's seen as an important shop window in which to demonstrate the competitiveness and reliability of the Vauxhall product. To win in their first season bodes well for the future. With a year's experience behind them and new signing Oliver Gavin at the wheel, the Edenbridge Vauxhall team are looking forward to a fully competitive year in the British Championship in 1993, when more cars are expected to run the Spice-tuned Vauxhall engine. And finally, a brief look at club racing, where the new Astra GSI quickly took over from its older brother in production saloons. The Vauxhall engine caterhams were spectacularly quick and entertaining. And the Vauxhall Clubman Sports continued to please. After such a successful year, what can we look forward to in 1993?
1993 off and on circuit is going to be a fantastic year for Vauxhall. We have no less than 6 Cavaliers lining up on the touring car grid, including our 2 with John Cleland and Jeff Allen. We have David Llewellyn out in the Formula 2 Astra in the British Rally Championship. We have one of our brightest young hopes for Formula 1 in the future, Oliver Gavin, driving the Edenbridge Formula 3 car. And of course, Formula Vauxhall Junior and Lotus will be part of the touring car package. So it's going to be a fabulous year.